Hey guys, I finally made it. Thank you for joining me tonight and thank you for your patience. Hey Friar Dog, hi Ginny, hi Sadie, nice that you're here. Hi Ender, I don't know if I'm missing out on anyone. Um, yeah, I had some technical issues as usual. And well, today's topic is going to be about imposters, imposter spirits, of course, trickster spirits, but also spirit titles, like different spirits that connect to the same or that share a title or a job, which can create confusion in that way, and also spirits messengers. I'm gonna have a see if I can get this chat to work a bit more quickly. So maybe it can be a bit more interactive than usual, but with all this technical nonsense that I've been going through tonight, I'm not gonna have my hopes up. Like sometimes you just have to settle with what you got. um, yeah, I got a nice little incense candle thing burning here for Belial. I'm gonna see if I can move it in a bit closer. It's nicer like that. Because I will be discussing him as well, mostly because he taught me a lot on these imposter spirits. And so I'll get started. I'm going to try and keep up with the chat a little bit, but that's usually a bit hard to do. And I actually took notes tonight. So for imposter spirits, I'd say most of them, like this is I'm gonna aim this like this is gonna be a bit towards beginners as well. Is something a bit of a warning that um, well, not everything is what it seems to be, of course. So spirits are very good at deceiving us, or if you don't pay proper attention, they might take advantage of that. So I will be discussing a few points, a few tips and tricks to avoid attracting these types of spirits in the first place, and how to identify them if you do. So, well, these imposter spirits are mostly malevolent beings, so that means they don't really have your best interest in mind. A lot of the times um, so they take on or the appearance or act to fool you into thinking they are another spirit, mostly a spirit that you're trying to call upon. And usually their goal is to feed on you, or they may want to like distract you, get you off your sort of off your path in a sense. Like that's kind of closer to what I would say like false light beings could be doing, like pretending to be this or that spirit and making that spirit sort of look bad in a sense. That's something they can do as well, so that you will not want to work with that spirit anymore. So one of the ways to prevent attracting these imposters in the first place, or to prevent making contact with them, is to use the proper sigils. If the spirit you're trying to call upon has a trusted sigil that has been used a lot, like not something that has been brought, like not something that has been channeled recently. I don't mean to say that channeled sigils are dangerous or that they should not be used at all. I'm sorry, my PC keeps going like shutting down, like the screen. So it's not like they are dangerous to use, like, but I would say if you save that sort of thing for if you are more advanced, and if yeah, it's kind of something for later on. If you're just starting out, I'd say just go by the sigils that are well known and have been used throughout history, and that is kind of like they are like the spirit's phone number in a sense. And make sure you draw the sigil correctly. Don't be hasty. Don't make sure you don't miss any lines. Just and if you don't feel confident on your own drawing skills, I mean, it doesn't have to be like perfect, but it just you can just print them or trace them over or something like that. I really need to find a way to keep my screen going. I guess otherwise I'm going to be sitting here in the dark. I mean, I can see, but you guys won't be able to see me. So and I have to shut down my own sounds. You can hear people keep. I'm getting the Facebook messages now. Still new to this. Usually I have like my music up, so I don't hear this stuff. So yeah, that's one of the things. Like a trusted sigil, may want to keep in mind that sometimes people they would like you like they present themselves as teachers, but they might take advantage of you being new, and things like sigils can also lead, like custom sigils, for instance, like sigils that they made. They can lead to sort of them vampirizing your energy by you meditating on a sigil that they designed for that purpose. And they may tell you it's a sigil that leads to this or that spirit, but in fact it leads to them. So this is something to be to be very careful with. The source of your sigils. And I think the same would count for chants and a lot of these, I guess some rituals as well. Just always be careful with who your source is. So I'm trying to. As you can see, I'm very bad at like multitasking stuff. So I suck at that. Trying to get my sounds to shut up, basically. So yeah, and another way to prevent the imposter spirits, is to always have like always have another spirit present. But of course, before that, you have to make sure that you develop a strong bond. I would strongly advise, if you're just starting out, is that to start with working with maybe just one or two spirits and build up a strong bond of trust and get to know them very well, get to know their energies. That's another thing. Like you need to know how to identify energies and energy signatures. So I would say like training that with a trusted spirit. Build on that bond. Don't go from one to the other. Just stay with one or two and get to know the ins and outs, and have them teach you how to recognize energy, how to recognize them for sure. Um, for instance, if if Belial is here, I'm going to be talking about Belial tonight anyway. I can feel like I feel a little bit of a push on this part of my nose. That's one of my stronger senses, I guess. And for instance, if Lucifer is here, I can feel it push like more right here. And that's one of the ways to identify energy signatures, and to make sure that that is really them and no one can copy that. That's also a thing with sigils that I mentioned earlier, that I forgot to mention something else, is that um, they sometimes, if it's the real spirit, they can show you their sigils, and they kind of it's kind of um, like a polite way for them to introduce themselves. This is my personal experience with that, is that they will show you their sigils so that you know it's really them. Um, they can either just hand, like sort of in a visual, hand it to you, or have something on them that has that sigil of them. Um, so yeah. Um, so if you have created a strong bond with one or two spirits and you know for sure it's them, you have learned to recognize their energy, uh, which can also be like, I tend to have a strong sense of touch, like on the skin. But you may also, one of the other things I do is I sort of hear their energy, like they have this sort of tone they produce, like almost like a magnetic sound, or like the sound you hear with electronic devices sometimes, some sort of sound of electricity. And each of them has their own tone and their own, um, I'd say, their own rhythm or pulsation to it. And that is something that you learn once you start getting closer contact with them. And also, some people report they are able to smell them. Some are able to very clearly see them or hear their voices. It's basically just getting your astral senses up and getting to know them very well. And once you have done that, um, and you are ready to reach out and contact new spirits, it's usually a good idea to ask one of these trusted spirits to mediate for you. As mediators, they can, well, not only can they check if that other spirit is, what they're up to, and if they're lying to you. I mean, of course, if these mediators, like if they are your guides or your teachers, they may send you an imposter on purpose. That's something I will discuss later on, because that's something I taught from Belial. Belial. Why do I keep calling? Usually I call him Belial instead, but unless I'm speaking in English, sometimes I call him Belial, but it sounds wrong to me. So anyway, yeah, that's one of the things Belial taught me as well. Um, so they can mediate for that and warn you. And another thing, another um, one of the upsides of having this close contact, like this friendship with the spirit, is that they can make sure things don't escalate. Like if there is a misunderstanding, if you are calling upon a new spirit and there's a misunderstanding, they can make sure that it's contained, like that it doesn't get out of hand. So yeah, this is kind of a few of the things to do. See if I covered everything. I guess I did. Might get back to a few things later if I forgot a few things. And see how everyone is doing. See if any new people joined or not. I think not. So I will try to. There's so much stuff like running in the background, all this technical stuff. I hate it. For some reason, my computer keeps, like my computer screen keeps shutting down. Like as you can see, it suddenly gets dark for no reason. But anyway, we'll just go on. I'm gonna see if I have any questions or you guys have anything to add to this. And if not, well, I can just I'll just go on a bit and check later. So, as for signs to look for or red flags, one of the things that Belial taught me is that it looks sometimes in an imposter spirit. It looks like they are like if a human is wearing a mask. I'm not sure. Wow, that candle burned out really, really quick. That is insane. That is, I don't know what happened there. It's just, I don't know. I guess someone wanted me to stop burning that candle, I guess. That was supposed to last like 3 hours. Lasted maybe 30 minutes. So, um, anyway, yeah, it's kind of what I was getting at. These imposter spirits, it looks like as if they actually put on a mask. And sometimes, like if you look at humans wearing a mask, you see this sort of like this cutout around the eyes, like there's this sort of um, shade to it, in a sense, like this sort of yeah, it's kind of like a shade, and there is something similar, like this sort of cut out thing that I noticed with when a spirit is posing as another spirit, like it's literally wearing that spirit's mask. Although usually it does fit better than if you were than a human wearing some sort of paper mask, but you can still see some sort of distinction, especially if the spirit that they're trying to pose as is a spirit you will see a different, almost sort of vacant expression, but you will know from the eyes that something is not right. I would also advise not to look directly into the eyes. If you have any suspicion, avoid eye contact. Just try maybe look sideways and then, well, avoid eye contact as much as possible. It's also like sometimes their eyes will be sort of black or dull or lifeless in a sense. Another sign is they may be too eager for your energy. Usually, if you're working with an ascended being or like a being that is pretty much doing pretty good for themselves, like they got their own energy most of the time, and they will be a bit more careful actually with whose energy they take in, because if you are higher up like they are, you don't really want um, well, of course they can take on any most of them can deal with sort of lower energies, but they still want to, you know, be careful with what they take in. Um, so unless like you're like a lot of these imposter spirits are kind of desperate. So if they are just too eager to take your energy in, um, without even a proper like getting to know you a little bit, that's something to be aware of. Now, of course, a lot of the introductions to spirits may involve like um, adding some blood of your own, um, but it's that's kind of something that they can choose to take in or not, and that is kind of also getting us to the next thing. Is actually that sometimes spirits send messengers as well, which is something they do um, upon first contact at times to see, kind of to see what's what, who is calling them, and the messenger may eventually pass you on to the real spirit. Um, they may be like a toned down version, just sort of watered down version of the spirit you're trying to call. Now, this is not an imposter though, because it's more like a representative. It's like it's their secretary, if you will. And so if you run into the messenger, basically, don't blame the messenger in a sense. So don't be don't be alarmed about that. That is something else. Like they will usually also be polite as well. Um, another red flag is if they if they make deals for you that or are too good to be true. Be wary of that as well. Like just use your common sense at that. Um, oh, I got the energy thing. Let's see what else. My notes are all over the place. I'm sorry for that. um, there's this thing also with what I said earlier about the sigils. Sometimes the a sigil or a name. This kind, what I'm gonna be talking about next, kind of it covers like names and sigils in general. Like sometimes a name is or a sigil represents a group of spirits, such as Satan, for instance. Now, as I've been told by Belial, Satan is not. It's not a spirit. It's not an entity as such, but it's a weapon. He called it a weapon made up of several spirits, or several spirits have put their effort in it, and as such, they uh, they have access to that title. So if you're going to be calling upon Satan and you're going to expect Lucifer to appear, or in a way, um, it may very well be that, um, depending on exactly what you want and who is available as well, you may be getting Azazel to appear instead. And that doesn't mean that he's posing for another spirit. It just means that you called upon one of them as a whole, and like you didn't make a specific choice as to who you wanted to call. So just any of them can come up. But on the other hand, that doesn't have to be a bad thing, because sometimes you don't really know what you need. You know what you want, but you don't know what you need. So maybe the spirit that shows up instead is actually a spirit that will suit your needs better. It's something that Lucifer, the first time and he made it clear to me that he is who he is. He showed me his sigil, like the well-known sigil of Lucifer, but he showed it to me in blue. And I realized later on that that is his way, that of showing that this is um, a specific Lucifer, so to say, because Lucifer as well, I wouldn't say it's a title, but there are several beings that could be a Lucifer, a light bringer. So he was making it clear to me that he is the blue Lucifer. For instance, if you call upon, if you're using that sigil of Lucifer and you're using a lot of reds, for instance, you may be reaching to Samael. Yeah, I think Samael is red. I may be wrong on that part, what his particular colors are, but that may happen as well. And which doesn't mean that Samael is fooling you or messing with you. It's just kind of our own human confusion or our own lack of being specific. But it's, on the other hand, it's kind of okay, because in the end these things will sort of sort themselves out. And most of these, if you manage to make contact with one of the Satans or one of the Lucifers, or I don't know how many other, that could, Baal is a title as well. There may be a group of spirits attached to that, and usually I'd say it's quite safe if you manage to make contact with that group at least. Most of them don't even have time to mess with you. Like, they have no time for nonsense. So, like these imposters that I was talking about earlier on, mostly they are like, I'd say, low-level beings that are desperate for energy, and they are usually a lot weaker than the actual spirit you're trying to call upon. Also, another thing that they try to do, especially I think archons or false light beings try to do that a lot, is boast about their powers. If you are a god or goddess, or like a big strong deity, there's no need to boast about that. I mean, that's would be nonsense as well. And they typically don't do that unless, like, you're really, really. I think if, for instance, a being such as Lucifer, if he, I'm talking about the blue Lucifer here, the moment he starts to show off, like either, and if it's really him, like if he starts to show off, you are in trouble, I guess. I mean, that means he's riling up or like he's revving up. That's not a very good sign, I guess. So, oh, and oh, see, I knew I forgot something. There was another way that one of my friends mentioned, um, like a safe way if you want to get to a new spirit, if you're trying to call to a new spirit and you don't really know how to do it. I mean, not all spirits have sigils or enchants and stuff like that. Um, you may want to call upon another spirit that you know is connected to them. So, for instance, if you want to call Odin and you want to be sure that you reach him, and you have made contact with, for instance, Thor, you have been successful at contacting him. Um, you may want to ask Thor to aid you, to help you to contact Odin. That's just one example, and he could be present, for instance, to help you with that. Um, so yeah, I guess we kind of covered that a little bit. Now I'm gonna move on to tricksters, and here's where I'm gonna be talking about Belial a bit. Now tricksters, I guess they have this sort of uh, I don't know, maybe like this sort of value to them. There is something like lessons to be learned because most of the times these tricksters are not um, what you call like these low beings. They are quite, as I said, they have no um, interest in messing with us, like messing with us just for the sake of um, messing with us, basically. Uh, if they do, of course, like, of course, sometimes if you've overstepped their boundaries, insulted them, of course, there may be like they may make you pay for it. That's another thing. But like just entering our lives to mess up and be annoying is not something that I would say an ascended trickster deity would really do. I think they have their own. It's kind of a job that they're doing, and I would say it's very valuable if one of these trickster types, these liar types, archetypes, can be your teacher. And this is part of what Belial has been to me. Um, of course, he has tricked me, he has lied to me, but always um, still with my best interest in mind. Sometimes a lie or being tricked, being fooled is a way of learning how to prevent that from happening the next time. So it's like learning how to deal with the real deal, I guess, but in a sort of a safe environment. If Belial is your teacher and he really takes you seriously as a student, he will set up pranks for you, like entire setup things, and you're gonna curse him for it first, I guess, and then when you find out what he really taught you, um, you're gonna thank him for it. That's what I usually say. Um, one of the things, one of the very first things, the very first lessons that I got from him without warning even. I don't think I even remember him asking, but he appeared to me looking like Lucifer. And I was fooled first. I mean, I knew something was off in a way, like there was something weird going on. And then yeah, something happened. Like this was, I kept going, kind of. Instead of breaking the contact, I kept going, and I kept talking, allowing this Lucifer to come closer to me, and allowing him to attack me at some point. But on the other hand, I was never in danger. That's the kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I fell for it. I fell for the trick. I noticed too, like by the time I noticed that it was not the real Lucifer, it was too late, in a sense. But I was able to ward him off still, like push him away. And no, I'm not sure if I should share too many details on how and what happened next. But the thing is, it became clear that it was Belial. And we kind of gave each other a high five after that. It's sort of like, okay, I got what you did here. Um, Took me a while to recover from it, though. I mean, this is not like something that happened within a few minutes, or. But when I got back to him about that, and I noticed that it was a lesson. He never meant to. He didn't mean to act as if he was Lucifer just to fool me. He was acting like Lucifer to teach me. And instead of being angry or whatsoever, he would congratulate me on finding out it was him. It's another. I think it's one of these things that kind of defines if um, for if he wants to go on, like continue with you. If if he tricks you, if he lies to you, and you find out, he usually laughs, but that sort of means you passed his test. And if you get upset about that, not understanding that it was a lesson and not a sick joke, he doesn't really joke actually. I mean, not really like that. So, and if you walk away from him after that, which it seems many people do, um, it's kind of his own, like his filter. Um, and if you come back after that and realize that he was teaching you, he's gonna be a great teacher from that moment on. I can tell. Yeah, I can definitely vouch for that. If you're able to look past that and get back to him, sort of after he fooled you, and be able to at least try to see what he taught you, he's going to be a great teacher. And yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say about tricksters. I guess it's sometimes it's better to be tricked by them, tricked by a deity, fall flat on your face, but not have all your energy stolen, or like still be sort of okay in a sense, than to be facing a real enemy and be unprepared. It's like kind of like they're training you for the real deal, in a sort of safe. I say safe. I mean, these demons, they give you beatings like this. Is, I mean, they can leave you hanging by a thread, but you're still there, sort of. That's kind of the difference, I guess. So I think I sort of covered what I wanted to say for now. There's one thing that I'd like to thank a few people that added in on this. Uh, I don't know if I even dare to do like, I wrote down the names, but I don't really know how to pronounce them properly, so I'm gonna butcher a few of them. I'm afraid, so I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. So thanks to Dimitrije Ostojic. I'm very sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Emily Ann or Arachnia Stoneskull, Roy Baehr, Raven Uruk, and Joe Ragnarsson mostly. I got their, some of them have their own YouTube channels and their own pages and websites that I added in the description. And well, last but not least, I always say quality over quantity. I see so many people, especially I'd say new sorcerers, new occultists, that jump from one spirit to the other, trying to gather as much as they can. And like I said in the beginning of the video, it's very, very valuable to first develop a strong bond with a spirit that you can trust. And from there you can move on if you want to, but try it, especially if you find a spirit that you like, you get along, just don't wait a little bit. Don't go skipping to another spirit right away. And don't be reckless. That's it. Like, pay attention, and there's like spirituality in general. It's not a race. Just take your time and take it easy. I'm gonna have a little look, see if you guys have any questions or anything to add for now. If you have anything to say, I'm scrolling back right now. Andrew, you say a physical touch can be a disguising trap. It depends, I guess, if you know. Of course, this is kind of where it comes, where the energy signature as a whole sort of comes in, like not relying only on one sense. It could be like how they feel on your skin. Like each of them, to me personally, each of them feels different. For instance, I'd say Lucifer feels kind of electronic, like tingling, whereas, for instance, King Paimon, he feels like almost like nearly human in a sense. So, but if you combine that sense of touch with, for instance, their voice or how they look, the general sense that you're getting from their energy, uh, that's what I meant with those energy signatures as a whole, and how important it is to develop your astral senses. No, I don't think you were babbling nonsense, Andrew. I think it was like something to think about, that you shouldn't just focus on one thing, but sort of mix it up as a whole. I'm trying to adjust my camera a little bit. There. Because I do want my painting to be in the background. Like, this is actually, see, it's, no, just leave it, I guess. Keeps turning around. But, yeah, not sure if there's anything else to add? Or any questions you got? I do hope I covered everything. Stuart T, a sorcerer possessing a demon. Well, I don't think so. I mean, possession means they enter a body, so unless, of course, well, that's an entire different topic, but a spirit doesn't really have a body to possess, so probably not. But what you can do is that if you have a close bond with a spirit, they can take in your energy. So, but some spirits do have incarnations, but they usually wouldn't allow possession of another entity. So it would be, you see, that's the kind of the thing. Another thing that I didn't, I'm not sure if I covered that, but another thing that's really important to keep in mind is that, especially if you're dealing with a deity, with a god or a goddess, um, they're just a bit more reserved with trying these very intimate things, I'd say. Like, even if it's possible for a human to possess a demon, I think it's not. I don't think it's possible. But let's say it was, then a real god or goddess would probably not allow that, and unless they know you very, very well, like that's just kind of not going to happen. And if they are very eager at that, and if it's they say yes to that sort of stuff very quickly without running you through a series of tests and questions and stuff like that, that's a red flag, because they're too, in that case, they'd be too desperate for your energy. Um, yeah, so that's kind of it, I guess. I see someone mentioning thought. Oh, it was Ender. Yes, that's of course. That's another thing to keep in mind. But this is also why when I get back to like sort of these relying on several senses, and of course a spirit's appearance may differ for each person. This is why you have to kind of run the checklist, I'd say. I mean, Lucifer, for instance, has a certain appearance to me that others would disagree on, like, but still he checks all the lists, like he checks the entire list. For instance, well, King Paimon has actually been very good at that, like going by the book, I'd say, and that because in appearance he appears slightly different to me than he does to most people. Um, and it's something he sometimes does to when he wants to make sure you're not intimidated. So he tones down a little bit, and so yes, I wasn't sure if it was him. So of course he showed me his sigil as well as his colors, and I asked him for a sign that this is really him, a physical sign. And this is something that imposters are not too eager to do. Like they're gonna probably come up with some excuse like, "Oh, you don't. I don't need a sign. I'm powerful. I'm this. I'm that. Who are you to ask me for a sign?" Or they will try to just get away from that or steer the conversation. But like a real spirit, they're not going to be they won't mind sending you a sign. In fact, if you need multiple signs, that's fine by them. Some of them will easily like go out of their way or just make it very clear to you that is them. Whereas for an imposter, that would be like um, they're more after a quick deal, quick energy. They want it right now. So what King Paimon did for me is he said, "Okay, I will show you a crown," and that's what he did. I was walking my dog like the next day or something, and I saw um, there were these trailers in the like these construction trailers that had construction materials to build a new building. So they were just put there like a day ago or something, and someone had come along and put some graffiti on them, and it was a crown. So that was kind of it's that sort of things that's a way that a spirit can prove to you that they are the real deal. And imposters are very, very unlikely to go to that level, to lose that much energy, because that's what they're mostly after. So yeah. So yeah, of course, if a spirit comes to you looking slightly different, or if there's always like personal differences, just don't worry too much about it. As long as you use the proper sigil, and also you're not making like ridiculous requests or something. If you're a serious student and you're not going to ask some spirit to give you a lot of money, whatever, it's more likely that you will actually get in touch with a serious spirit. So most of the times you're quite fine. It's just have to keep your eyes open. Yeah, and of course, if you get to know them at some point, like for the spirits that I'm close with, I don't use sigils anymore, but that took me about a year of very close contact with them and being very, very sure that that is that spirit. And I still wouldn't advise it to do it that way for most people. And I'm not sure if you guys have any more questions, but it's getting a little bit late or actually early morning here. So it's time for me to wrap it up a little. So if you guys have anything to add or any questions to ask, I will wait just a little bit. And otherwise, you can just leave it in the comment section. I'll get back to it later. I think this is kind of it for now. Okay, well, thanks everyone for watching. And just like I said, remember, I think what kind of sums it up is quality over quantity. Just, it's not a game, it's not a race. Take your time, get to know the spirits that you want to work with, and if a spirit comes up and you have a click, and like if it works, don't be hasty on like nurture that. Like if there's a spirit that you like, and nurture that bond instead before jumping onto something else. So with that, I would like to end this video, and thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Good night.